On today's Minute of the Apes, Todd is already rating our looks.
Exercise with an ape maker, human down. It talks. Living with a divine bound. We are determined to know what the apes want, war or peace.
The only good human is a dead human.
And if it is man's destiny one day to be dominated, then, oh, please, God, let him be dominated by such as you.
Hello and welcome to Minute of the Apes, a daily podcast where we break down every minute of the Planet of the Apes movies 1 minute at a time. And Sean sniffles while I give our introduction, and I rate everyone's looks. How are you boys doing this morning?
All right.
Richard, how are you?
I'm feeling very set 1970s porn star right now.
So Richard, looking very suave amongst all of us, has the pandemic hair that has grown, and it's long and wavy, and he's got the amazing stash working. So, yeah, look, I don't want to just relegate you to the 70s as a porn star, but, man, if you could go back in the DeLorean, you could make a lot of money.
I think I did mention this last time. I've actually bought some kind of 1980s Magnum PI Hawaiian shirt. Sean got to see one last weekend.
I saw it on Facebook.
Yeah. But I'm rocking more the Magnum PI look if I can.
Awesome.
I actually went and found a website that's dedicated to all of the gear that you can buy to look like Magnum PI, from the watch to the belt buckle to the specific pistol. Like, it was great.
Hey, the pistol.
Yeah.
Hey. All right, with that, we're on minute 66 of the Planet of the Apes. I'm really going to segue into that. Sean, tell us what's going on.
Yeah. All right, we start minute 66 with a shot of empty trees and into the shot of a water feature through a different tree.
All right, well, so it sounds like this minute is just a bunch of landscape shots. So let's take a listen to minute 66 of Conquest of the Planet of the Apes.
No! Go back! No! No! Go home! Back!
As minute 66, we got a courtyard with the gorillas, chimpanzees, orangutans, imported apes, Caesar. We lost some apes in the revolution. Armando's gone. We've lost guards. It's madness.
So let's clear out what happened last week. Richard, are you and I both on the unrated extended version now?
No.
Oh, Richard's still on the other one. I actually watched the unrated version.
It's fine. Oh, okay.
I kind of liked that. I thought last week had a lot of interest to it because we get to see how the two versions are almost in sync, but they begin to diverge. So I like that. Stay where you are, and you can be the person that tells us what's going on. So, the biggest thing for me this week watching this is, and I know Sean will probably either know or will look it up, how long is spilled gasoline flammable?
Hang on, I think I had that.
Because, I'm watching as the apes, and Richard, I don't know if in your moment, do you get the shots of the apes tossing the gasoline around?
Yeah.
All I could think is I get that, if you leave it for a few seconds, it probably you'd ignite it. But what I kept thinking was, okay, well, they're throwing it on cement, which is a non-porous area, therefore it doesn't sink in, so it sits above, but how long does it lay there? And what are they trying to set on fire? Is the fire that they're obviously trying to set just supposed to be a diversion?
Yeah, I'm not sure at this point.
So the way the way the minute begins and ends for this, I just assume they're setting the plaza on fire.
Okay. I get that too, and I just kind of wish
That's
that
where I went with it. Yeah,
I wish we'd have seen like a storefront, toss some fuel in there, so that we would say, "Oh, they're burning everything down." But it's just a little odd to be tossing it on concrete.
Just the open courtyard of this shopping center, right?
Right,
the business park.
But if you're gonna create chaos, I mean, fire anywhere is a great chaos setter. But
I assume that rather than we're supposed to assume that they are just to your point, yes, they're just tossing into the center of the courtyard. I think we're supposed to assume that they're tossing it everywhere.
I agree.
And they just visually wanted to give us the sense that they're tossing it. It's a safe production technique to throw water in the middle of the courtyard rather than toss it on buildings. But, they are using water. We could have seen them toss it on buildings itself. And again, just talking about this minute, not talking about the future minutes, they're just tossing it in a courtyard. They could have thrown a shot of them tossing out of a building or something.
Well, I think that this minute, I'm sorry, Sean, I'll say this and I'll promise I'll get to you. This minute begins a production technique that I noticed a lot of when watching these minutes, is that they are using the same locations but from different angles over and over. So to that extent, they're walking into these cement areas, and we'll see these cement areas. We'll see the yellow bricked walls. We'll see all these things over and over, but they're kind of making it look like one area is a different area. It's just that all areas look the same. So it's almost like, I think, instead of getting shots of tossing gasoline in stores, it was a lot easier just to lock here. Okay, let's do the gasoline pouring now. That's what it feels like, as they're trying to cram in as much as they can to get this done.
Well, I mean, we complained about, how dark the courtyard's been for the last 30 minutes of this movie. Mm-hmm. But to this sense, it adds to the fact that you don't know what's happening. They can reuse a lot of these same locations and you can't really tell.
Yeah. All right, Sean, you had a point.
And then, I had a note, actually. You'd asked about the gasoline, and I had that noted in a future minute that there's no hard and fast rule, because it depends on the temperature of the fuel and the temperature of the surface that it's on. So, I would figure on a warmish night like this, it's not going to last, more than a minute or so before it evaporates. Because think about it. You're at a gas station. Whenever you finish filling up, sometimes a little bit of gas might drip on your car or might drip on the ground, but it's not pooling there forever. It evaporates pretty quick.
Yeah, and
you got to get that and inhale it really fast and huff it if you want to get that high. It's not going to last very long.
And you're tossing that around, and you're going to light a fire. And these are apes. Not all of them are as intelligent as Caesar, and to a lesser extent Lisa. They're just tossing gas around.
That's what we're going to attribute it to.
Yeah. And here's the other thing. And
to start fires. Sorry.
This is where it actually starts to act like a movie rather than a story, because they do the movie trope where everybody's quiet, and the way they make them quiet is they actually mute the audio, because the amount of noise they'd be making running through all the greenery and splashing liquids around, they'd be tipping everybody off.
Yeah, there are the elements of, we know an ape revolution is in the midst of happening. The guards, instead of being aggressive and going out and finding it to squelch it, are just sort of laying back to protect. And the one problem that I have with this moment, and I really don't, I'm picking on the gasoline thing. I don't have a problem with it really. But the other thing is, where's the threat in this moment? Why is this not overlapping with the people running from the square, where I begin to see that, and then that creates fear and dread, and there's none of that.
Well, it's supposed to be it's supposed to be the quiet before the storm, right?
Okay.
That moment where there's a little bit of chaos and all of a sudden everything gets hushed to move into something bigger in a moment. I mean, that's how I saw it. That moment of quiet before the match is lit or the first shot is fired or something, something is about to happen. And that's what the gasoline, I think, is supposed to bring. What I was shocked at was what I was surprised by the main chimp with the gas can that may or may not be Caesar. I think it's just some random person, random chimp. Man, he just had like buckets on buckets of gas like pouring out when he's walking off the field. I'm like, does he got an extra tank in his back? Because it went splash, 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 and it just looked like so much freaking gas / water. Like, where is that coming from?
I don't disagree with that. I wish, that's why I wish that instead of these wide shots of just splashing, would have been maybe a couple of tight shots mixed in of them purposely tossing a little somewhere. So then it wouldn't seem like that, just sort of throwing gas around. And look, in Richard's background, I finally now see that we get the shadowy shot. Yeah. The shadowy shot with the yellow brick walls, which I kept thinking Dorothy might be a little pissed.
The yellow brick walls.
Yeah, that the walls are there and she has to walk up them.
So whenever we get to the guard, that's, just oblivious to what's going on, despite the fact that they know that there's an ape revolution going on. He's very blasé about checking everything out. You can't hear him walking either. So if they should have made his footsteps really loud, which would then contrast to how quiet the apes were coming over to find an attack and setting everything up.
Well, I also thought that this leads into the whole week of minutes, that there's a weird lack of communication going on between the people in the world. If that guard is off by himself, he should be the one lone post, and he should be on his, his microphone on his. They add like a little
lapel or whatever.
Yeah, and he can click on it and go, Sector 38's all clear. And at least then we kind of know what he's doing, but he's just sort of looking around. He's just standing there. There's no urgency to him. But then we get great shots of a military throughout this week where they're moving and they're urgent. I just wish that they had spoken to each other. They'd be working together as a unit. That makes them more terrifying. We want the apes to win, right?
I will say this. They're kind of off script at this particular point. These entire moments are not really in the script at all. Dane had something like 3 pages of a lot more action that just didn't get cut. I mean, they go right into a battle scene with guards and fire and shackles and all sorts of stuff. And we do get the later minutes dialogue in these scenes, but they're all a lot more aggressive than this quiet courtyard scene that we're getting now. He really didn't script that.
So with the gasoline comment there, wouldn't it have been a lot more engaging, exciting if they had taken the gasoline and made them into Molotov cocktails and tossed them? Something like that instead of just splashing some gas somewhere. Because what I like initially is that when the apes are gathering things, they have that meat cleaver and all this kind of stuff, and they're very brutish type weapons. And it would have been it would have worked a little more for me if it had been that kind of attack instead of just this. I don't know. Maybe I'm asking too much of apes.
It was kind of intended to be that. I mean, Dane literally has it written out with all this kind of like heighten the macabre and a very frightening effect of Caesar's mob as they surge forward, and the sounds that issue from the blood-crazed throats are chilling in the extreme. I mean, he really did have a lot more dramatic thing planned out here, As once in the book Bonfires of the pre-war Nazi Germany, an entire cultural heritage is going up in crackling flames and scorched titles from the burning books of the bookstore. The Bible, Milton, Spangler, Darwin, Shakespeare spell out their doom-laden message, Revelation, Paradise Lost, and American Tragedy. I mean, he really, quick cuts of shackles being swung at the store windows, 2 orangutans to loot razors from a barber. I mean, a posse of guerrillas to loot guns and ammunition from a gunsmith. I mean, he had stuff planned out for this moment that is not happening.
And we get some of that later on during the whole thing. We see things kind of a little more chaotic. And to your point of this is the calm before the storm, I agree. And I think that you need that.
But remember, in the previous minute, they've already announced to the public that there's an ape revolution and ape control, and everybody get home, clear the streets so our troops can do what they need to do. But this guy is just, he should be on alert.
Make him the young green soldier that no one wants on the front lines with him, and he's over there fumbling with like trying to make sure the rounds in the chamber, and he's scared and he's sweating, anything like that. But he looks so nonplussed so completely without worry that he doesn't convey. Even a calm before the storm